Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil. Who are you?
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Sam.
Sam and I are doing Bill Connolly for the first time, Billy Connolly, I should say, for the first time on the channel. We do lots of comedians, and this will be adding to the list.
Yeah.
It's on the heels of the thread that we posted, which we asked, what's your favorite comedian? And there was a lot of different comedians that we hadn't done on there.
The comments blew up and we were so excited. Well, I know I was super excited because I'm like, yes, all these new people we haven't done before.
Yeah, I think there was like 1,100 comments last we checked on that question. So really great insights from you guys, and that's why we arrived at Billy Connolly. And we've got Dwarf on a bus. The name alone gets me interested.
I know, I'm like, what is this about? And
we didn't know, like I said, anything about Billy Connolly before briefly looking into him. Apparently he's from Scotland. That worries me a little bit, if I'm going to be honest.
The accent?
Scottish accents are one that I do have a little bit of trouble with. So we'll see how prominent that accent is. Sam will probably have more trouble than I will because my heritage comes from that part of the world. So I have had some, acquaintance with it. But it's still something I struggle with, so I imagine Sam's going to be a deer in headlights if it is thick. So that's what we're going to mention in advance. But if there's anything else from Billy Connolly that you want us to know, you can hit those comments below, and we're always appreciative of those insights. But Sam, you've been loving your comedic journey thus far, and when I say, what's your favorite comedian or name one comedian that we've done, you always go with Patrice O'Neill. Because it's part of the reason is also because I always mimic and say words in a certain way that Patrice O'Neill does in one of the comedy sketches that we watched, or comedy stand-up routines that we watched, because it was very relevant to our dynamic in a relationship. And so that's why I think it's prominent in your head.
It sticks in my head, yeah, for sure.
So with that said, I've ruled out Patrice O'Neill at this point. Give me a couple other comedians that you've really liked on our journey thus far and have found entertaining.
I mean, I would say some of my favorites have been Bill Burr. Bill Burr's awesome. He's a little bit more of an aggressive style, though. So something that's different than that I've liked is I love Gabriel Iglesias as well. His impressions are A1.
Yep.
And I've also been loving Shane Gillis recently. So I'd say those three are three that stick out to me, and they're all completely different.
Yeah. I was doing some of the editing for our videos on Shane Gillis today, actually, and I was just dying. I was just literally just crying in my chair, watching the rewatching for the edit portion.
Yeah, he's so funny.
And yeah, he's great. So I've enjoyed him too. Anyways, enough with the chit chat. Let's check out some Billy Connolly. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Oh, so anyway, my sister told me this. And she swears that it's true.
He's pants.
And I hope it's true. And if I tell it right, you will hope it's true. My sister is a retired school teacher. And she supplies herself to people who don't have teachers. She's a supply teacher. When somebody is sick or dead, she'll supply herself. And a lot of her friends do this as well. And her friend told her this story. And when she told me the story, I thought I would pee myself. I was in New York where I live, and she phoned me, and I fell on my phone's next to my bed. I fell onto my bed. You know that way you laugh, your legs won't work right. And I told my wife, I said, Flo just told me the funniest story. I'm going to tell my audience this. It's about a dwarf. And she said, well, you can't, Billy. You can't do that. I said, why? She says, because you can't say dwarf. I said, why the fuck not? I'm talking about a dwarf. Surely you can say dwarf when it's a dwarf you're talking about. She says, they're little people. I said, but little people and dwarfs. There's a difference between a little person and a dwarf. One of them's a fucking dwarf. And they both know which one it fucking is. Don't give me that shite. So I decided to tell it. Her friend was going to supply herself to a school somewhere. And she got on a Glasgow bus. Oh, please be true. And she sat down, and it just happened to be the last seat. And the bus took off and trundled off into the day. 4 or 5 stops later, the bus stops, and a wee dwarf woman comes on. I've now compounded the felony by calling her a wee dwarf. She wasn't a particularly small dwarf. She was just a dwarf-sized dwarf. I'll probably get all sorts of complaints now. Dear Mr. Connolly, I saw your otherwise excellent show. What a pity you descended to the dwarf story. I, personally, am a member of the Tall Dwarf Society. I'm 6'4". I'm proud to call myself a dwarf. I also do impersonations of chocolate biscuits, if you're ever stuck. Anyway, the wee woman got on the bus, the wee dwarf woman, and discovered there's no seat, and so hung on to whatever was nearest, the seat to the pole or whatever, and the bus took off. There was a wee schoolgirl in a school uniform sitting over here, probably urged along by her mother. Give the woman your seat, give that woman your seat. She went over to the wee dwarf woman and she said, excuse me, would you like to have my seat? Whereupon the wee dwarf woman flew into a rage and said, oh, aye, because I'm a dwarf. You're offering me a seat simply because I'm a dwarf. Well, I have managed my whole life as a dwarf. It's not a problem to me. Keep your seat. The girl, cringing with embarrassment, went back to her seat, and the bus trundled on in silent embarrassment for a stop or 3. Then, oh, please be true, a big Glasgow woman was getting off the bus. And before she went up to the door, she went over to the wee dwarf woman. She said, I'm getting off the bus and I'm leaving my empty seat here. Because I'm a dwarf? You said, no, not because you're a dwarf, because you're another human being. I happen to be leaving the bus. My seat is vacant. I'm merely pointing it out to you that it exists. As a matter of fact, I thought you were extremely rude to that wee girl and you owe her an apology. As a matter of fact, I hope when you go home tonight, Snow White kicks your ass.
I guess that was just one joke from him, right? It was, no, I mean, some comedians do that where they will build on just one joke for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, like the whole thing is building the plot line to the one punchline at the end.
Yeah, but I don't think we've ever really seen that so far. And we mentioned all the comedy that we've done. We haven't really, there's topics that you'll go through, but it hasn't revolved around one story.
Yeah. No, there's been more like punchy throughout.
Yeah. So the punchline was obviously Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Yeah. I hope Snow White kicks your
yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, I guess not knowing what to expect going into it, I was like, what are we doing with this?
Where's this going?
When is this going to get funny?
Yeah.
Because I think it wasn't so much what he was saying, it was more the way he was saying it with his personality and like this older guy and these striped pants on stage with his accent and seemingly fun-loving attitude was more maybe the Billy Connolly idea and the concept of him.
The allure,
so maybe there are longer skits or stand-up portions that might be better to watch. It was funny though, like there was nothing wrong with it. I just wasn't blown away by it.
It's different than the other stuff that we've done.
Yeah.
So maybe if you guys have any suggestions on bits that are the best to see from him, let us know.
Yeah, I think I'm just saying, like for the first time seeing him, it was. I was like, okay, what's this comedian gonna be like?
Yeah.
And now I just want to see kind of more from him because it was good, but it wasn't enough. It was just a little bit of a taste test.
Wait. It was like he had you waiting and waiting, and then he gave it to you, and you're like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, it was well put together though, and he's great at storytelling. I was picturing the whole thing on the bus.
Me too, like literally envisioning the entire thing. Crazy.
Yeah, and I was making up my own little dwarf person in my head.
This little dwarf, this little Scottish dwarf lady.
Yeah. And his accent was fine. I caught.
Yeah,
everything.
I know. Me too. I was
it wasn't thick at all. So that's good. Yeah. Anyways,
he said he lives in New York.
What about you? Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. I think it was different, and I didn't really know what to expect either. So I felt like I was kind of like you said, like waiting on like where are we going with this a little bit. But then, like you said, at the end, it all came together, and that's just his style, right? So now knowing that going into another one, I think I would be looking forward to it because I would know that it's gonna have a build probably in it.
Well, now it's your job to come down in those comments and let us know where we should go next if you want to see some more Billy Connolly. What do you think about this one? If you like this one, if this is his best, if he's got stuff better than this, if this is older for him, because it's obviously, it looks like he's a little older. And I assume that he would have been doing this for a while. So you guys can let us know about all those details in the comments. And if you like comedy, this is your first time on the channel because we're doing Billy, we got a ton of it. So you should hit that subscribe button and check out our playlist that we got of over 80 comedic videos. We've been doing this for a while now, about a year. It's been a great ride, over 100,000 subscribers in a year. And we're trending now into 2024 and trying to see what else we can accomplish. And we hope that you're a part of that journey. So if you want to hit that notification bell as well, you'll make sure that you don't miss any of our videos going forward. And the next one will be tomorrow.
Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you then.